And she was like, I was the one that solved the riddle. And I was like, girl, that riddle was made for primary school, for like little kids. I mean, the solution was so easy.
I didn't even read the entire riddle. I was just like, I'm not reading all of this, but the answer is love.
See?
What else could it
Oh my God, yes.
be? Yeah.
Hey guys, Lina here.
And I'm Anya.
And welcome to our podcast, More Than Fiction. Today we'll be talking about ACOTAR, Book 1, so A Court of Thorns and Roses. So I guess we'll just start off by giving like mild, opinion of the book, just like a general opinion, I would say. So Anya, what did you think? Did you like it?
I actually have changed my opinion a little bit on this book because I actually read it the first time years and years ago. I think I got an advanced reader's copy before it even came out, and I checked my Goodreads review and I basically just said, this is boring, I don't like any characters, the writing was boring, there was no good world building, like what's going on? So my initial opinion a few years ago was actually like really judgmental, but right now, the second time around, I decided to like really go into it with an open mind and expect to just have fun and not overthink what's happening too much, because I also like know that other books will be better, so I just like need to like really have fun with the first one. So second time around I enjoyed it a lot more. I kind of like knew what to expect. So my opinion, I would say like 4 stars if we're doing stars. We don't need to do stars, but I would say 4 stars.
Okay, fair enough. My experience is kind of like, yeah, I was positively surprised because when I went into it, I expected it to be really, really bad just because a lot of people in the fandom, like Sarah J. Maas fandom, were telling me how the first book, you have to kind of like struggle through it, and you really have to force yourself to read it, and that it's going to only get better and better with books. And I was like, okay, well, I expected it to be bad. Plus, you also told me that you read it years ago and you didn't like it. So yeah, I just didn't expect much. And once I started it, I was immediately hooked. I was really interested in these characters and in this world and these courts. Like, they intrigued me. I thought it was like a cool, fun concept. It didn't sound too complicated, just very like, easy to understand. And I kind of liked that at the time. I just wanted something to easily understand, I guess, not like a high fantasy complicated book, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I was actually really positively surprised, and I think I would give the first book, like if we're doing stars, a 4.5.
Great, yeah. It kind of really depends on like your expectations or what you're like really looking for in a book.
Definitely. I mean, it depends also, I feel like, on, I don't know how to say this, like on where you are in your life at the time. If you read like a book before that was very like high fantasy, very complicated, it feels good to just, do something different, I suppose, or vice versa. So it just really depends where you are at, because you can start a really good book, cannot like it just because of the, time in your life where you're at that moment.
Yeah, it really makes sense. Like sometimes you just like get a feeling that it's just not the right moment for you to read a certain book, and then one day you're just like, you know what, this book, I'm reading it. And then, like, as you're reading it, you, like, get why it took you years to get into it. Because for some reason, like, in this exact moment, it turns into the perfect book for the moment. So I kind of, like, trust the process and trust the vibes on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we got rid of that, we'll just kind of give a little description of the book, just kind of like a mini recap. There are going to be spoilers for this first book, but just for the first book. We're not going to talk about the second or the third, just exclusively A Court of Thorns and Roses. So you don't have to worry about any of that. But if you haven't read A Court of Thorns and Roses, then, you probably shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And also just to remind you guys that these are just strictly our opinions. I mean, we're probably going to disagree on a lot of things as well, but, we have to respect each other's opinions and be kind about it. So remember that. So, anyways, this book is about this girl, human girl named Farah. It's set in a world where fairies are a thing, but they live behind a wall in Prithian. So they're basically separated from humans. There was like this big war in the past, and humans used to be slaves to the fairies, and now like it's different, but they still have, there's still animosity, and humans fear fairies, while fairies don't like humans just in general. So they're separated, but everything changes for Farah when she kills this wolf that she wasn't supposed to kill. The wolf was the shapeshifter. He was like a fairy. So then this big monster one named Tamlin walks into her house, and he basically like says that she has to go with him because of a contract that the peoples made long, long ago. So that's how the story kind of starts, and it revolves around Farah. So I guess, Anya, if you agree, we can start off by the time when Farah was like in her little human cabin with her human family, and what was your impression of that whole situation?
Yeah, of course. Let's start at the beginning. The first time I was reading this book, I do remember thinking that it was kind of reminiscent of Hunger Games, just like the very, very beginning. Because, we have this like little scrawny girl who needs to feed her family. She needs to go into the forest, needs to hunt, needs to make sure none of her family members starve. And she's somehow responsible for that. So I did get a feeling that, I've read this kind of thing before. But, this time around, they just kept going. It doesn't matter that I read something similar. I can still have fun. So, yeah, I kind of went into it with a little bit more of an open mind. And I actually ended up really liking Farah. It was really interesting to me that she is the youngest sister. And usually the younger sibling is the one that has it the easiest, right?
Right.
Right. And in the first book, her family was so ungrateful, so spoiled. I mean, they did go through like a really difficult situation, but still it shouldn't have fallen on a little 14-year-old's shoulders to save them from literally starving to death, right? So I do have a lot of empathy for Farah in that moment.
I agree. I was shocked when I read the way her family behaved towards her. I was like, okay, maybe the sisters are just, they're proper ladies or whatever, and they don't want to get their nails dirty and stuff. But what really shocked me was just Nesta's behavior. Like, she was just mean to her. And she was like, when are you going to go and sell the fur or whatever so I can get new shoes and stuff? And like, what about her? Doesn't she need new stuff? And I don't remember the details, but I remember Farah saying that she kind of needed new boots or something. But no one even thought about that. They were just thinking of themselves. And then Elaine and Nesta started fighting among themselves who's gonna get what. And I was just like, it felt like Farah was their mom. And I was so shocked by that because, yeah, she was the youngest and no one even thought of like taking care of her. So that didn't really sit right with me at all. And I immediately felt for Farah and I felt her struggle. And yeah, it also kind of reminded me of the Cinderella story a little bit, like the two evil stepsisters or whatever. And what also kind of annoyed me, I mean, I know the dad's also awful. I mean, he's the adult in the situation and he didn't do anything. He let Farah go out there alone. But at the same time, I also was kind of repulsed by Nesta at the beginning because of the way she treated her dad. I remember she removed his chair so he wouldn't be able to sit on it or something, and he had the bad leg. And I kind of get that you're angry at him and probably fight with him a lot and you tell him off and you tell him to his face that what he's doing is not okay, but you don't treat him cruelly. I mean, I imagine this to be an older man with like a leg that didn't work. So I just remember being really repulsed by Nesta at the beginning. And I also didn't like Elaine because, everyone was saying like, oh yeah, Elaine, she's really sweet and everything. But how sweet can she be if she literally she pretends like everything's okay? That's not okay. You know what I mean? It's different from Nesta.
Right.
Nesta's like straight out an ass about it. But Elaine, she's a hypocrite. So what is worse? Which one is worse,
Yeah, like Elaine never actually took a stand. She never protected Farah from the behavior of Nesta. So it was really like Nesta and Elaine are their own like little group and they just pretend like everything is normal. And then, yeah, the dad is also in denial and Farah is basically left to like make sure her family survives. Like it was absolutely giving like Cinderella. And that is one part of those books that I didn't appreciate the first time that I do really appreciate now. It's just how many fairy tale tropes that there are in them. Like there's so many moments that are so reminiscent of certain fairy tales or certain like, tropes that are present in a lot of fairy tales. Like like Three Sisters, for example, and I'm sure we'll talk about more of them. I just really enjoyed that the author just went there and really like employed a lot of them, but in a way that was still interesting for like a older reader, right? So it was really, really cool.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I personally like the fairy tale trope, so I was really into that. And I also went into it knowing that it was kind of like a retelling of the Beauty and the Beast. And I love Beauty and the Beast. It's one of my favorite fairy tales ever. So that was exciting for me. But yeah, the Cinderella plot also kind of surprised me and I liked it. Right.
Can I confess something?
Yeah?
I don't get how this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Like, I guess, like, dabbling kind of the Beast, but Feyre can't even read. Like, Belle's whole thing was that she's a huge reader. And then we have this illiterate girl, like, just...
The complete opposite,
There's no, like, walking, talking furniture. Like, what's the connection besides dabbling? I don't get it.
That is true. That is true. I mean... yeah, when you think deeper about it, it's not really Beauty and the Beast. But, I mean, it did get me into it because it was supposedly. And, you know, even if it wasn't Beauty and the Beast, it still kind of had that kind of a vibe, you know, the curse and the beast as in Tamlin or whatever. So, yeah. But, yeah, it surprised me that Feyre didn't know how to read. And that was another thing that just bugged me, that, like, none of her sisters ever thought to teach her. So, that was another thing that I was just like, what the hell? Okay, let's move on, I guess, to Tam and the whole wolf killing situation and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm a big animal lover. So once, like, she killed the wolf at the beginning, even before we met her family. So that kind of pissed me off. I was like, he wasn't doing anything. He was just standing there. He looked so cute and sweet and you killed him. I kind of was like, okay, yeah, you need the food and stuff, but you had the deer, you know, like, but then okay, maybe it's a complicated situation. Maybe it's not as black and white, but as an animal lover, I was just so sad. But yeah, I get it. Let's say that I get it. And yeah, so, but it was kind of sad that she killed him even though he didn't attack her. And yeah, when we find out that he was an actual fairy and that she broke this law, that was a surprise to me. I didn't expect it because in her head, she kind of convinced herself that it wasn't a fairy. You know what I mean? So I was like, at that point, I was like, oh, maybe he really wasn't. But that was like me being naive, for sure.
Yeah, the wolf was kind of acting like it could like think, and he wasn't acting like a real wolf for me. Like I kind of got that maybe there's something else behind it. The way like Feyre was thinking about it, like even if it is a fairy, like fuck it, like fuck them, I will still kill it. Like I'll do something good for the world if it turns out to be a fairy.
She had those thoughts.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about it. She really did hate the fairies.
Yeah.
Like she really did. And that's also interesting to me because, you know, I know there's history there and everything, but hating something that you don't even know or understand, that's so foreign to me. I could never, you know, but I understand that she was in that place in her life. And, well, yeah, when Tamlin walked into that house, yeah, that was kind of scary. And I was also, again, proud of Feyre, how she stood up and she, you know, stood in front of her sisters, decided to protect them, to fend Tamlin off or whatever. And yeah, that was another brave act. I loved it.
Yeah, I really did enjoy this aspect of Feyre. Like, even despite how horrible her family was to her at times, she just truly wanted to do everything to make sure they were okay and had a nice life, which is just really selfless of her.
Yep, very true. Okay, so now that we've said how much we love Feyre, what are our thoughts of Tamlin?
Like, of course, we first meet him. He's a huge beast. He blows the door down. But then, actually, he turns out to be really reasonable. Like, his close friend is dead. This little girl murdered his friend in cold blood, basically. But he still offers her a solution that is basically good for all of them. And he basically saves her and her family and lets her go into this world, which, you know, she killed his friend. So that's like basically the best situation she could have gotten out of that. Right? So,
exactly.
Yeah. So actually, I do think that he was like, there were motives behind what he did and why he did it, but basically, like, as I was reading it, like, not knowing what happens further in this book, I was like, he truly is not choosing to be cruel to her. He's not choosing to fuck her life up. He's actually, like, trying his best to make the situation good for everybody, even though his friend is dead. So I was, like, getting quite a good impression of him.
Same here. I remember, since I knew it was kind of like I said before, the Beauty and the Beast, I knew that he was the probable love interest, right? So I was kind of worried that he was gonna drag her there and lock her in a basement and, turn her into a slave or something. I'm just afraid because I don't, I love an enemies to lovers arc, but sometimes I feel like those arcs can go too far. Where you're like, how do we get back from there? Like if you turn someone into your slave and lock them in a basement, that's not sexy. That's not romantic to me.
No.
So I was kind of, that's a step too far for me. So I was scared of that, and I was super glad. I mean, I kind of knew that it probably won't go that way. I kind of knew, but still, I was worried. So yeah, when it turned out that he like gave her a cute little room, he offered her clothing, food. He was just super nice to her, not aggressive. He left her like to have her space.
Yeah.
Even like a personal servant or whatever, someone to help her out and stuff. Yeah, I was surprised, and I really liked him a lot. Plus, I just kind of imagine him as super sexy, the blonde hair and the green eyes. I mean, I prefer, dark guys, but there's something about, fairies that are blonde. I don't know. It just reminds me of Legolas from Lord of the Rings, and I love him. So
Okay, yeah, we really just got like this first impression of him where he truly just wanted Feyre to like live out the rest of her life the way she wants to, and he didn't like really react in any sort of way that he could have had the right to react way harsher towards like the murderer of his friend, a part of his court, but like he chose to let her do whatever she wanted, have a hobby, take care of her family. So I actually like thought that this is like really nice. And also, like, how do you feel about how Feyre behaved towards him, like, at this point where she, like, first got to the Spring Court?
I know what you mean. Yeah, I didn't like it. I was rolling my eyes half of the time because, like I said, I don't understand hating a whole race or people without, understanding them or knowing their situation. And that's what felt like with Feyre. She never got personally wronged by these people. She didn't really know. I understand having judgments and predispositions or whatever, but once the guy literally lets you have your own room, your own space, your own clothes, tells you you can go wherever you want, like, you don't have to trust him, but you don't have to be like so super rude all the time. There's like a level. At the beginning, sure, but I feel like it got a little bit dragged as well. And also when he offered her to teach her how to write and read, and she was just super aggressive about it. And I was like, girl, this is a good thing. Don't you want to learn? Like, it's a good thing for you. It allows you to have a certain type of freedom if you understand, words, I guess, if you can read them. So I didn't get her anger.
Absolutely. He was trying to be nice to her all over and over again and try to offer her like whatever she wanted. Basically, she wanted to learn to read. Awesome, I can teach you. And then he just got attacked. So I don't get why Feyre was like this aggressive and defensive towards him in a situation where I don't feel like this was deserved. And yeah, like I get it. Like she comes from a world that for generations and generations of humans believed that those creatures, like they didn't even like really think of them as like fellow like people who could like think and empathize. I don't think so. They like just thought of them as monsters who can like murder you, and they don't like behave or think in the same way. So like I get why humans would have those preconceived notions and those judgments of fairies, but in this situation, Feyre was 100% in the wrong because she murdered someone, right? So
yeah, let's not forget about that little fact, right?
Yeah, and then like you have Timely who's like, you like literally murdered like a part of my court, but I will like be so like welcoming towards you. Like I'll teach you to read and like give you like all those pages, like literally do whatever you want. Like Feyre, like please Feyre, like have a good time Feyre, go wherever you want Feyre. Feyre's like fuck off. And that was like so strange to me.
Me too. Me too. I was annoyed. You can understand her to a certain level, but then I don't know. I mean, it's like excusing her and at a certain part. And I feel like this is the author's fault a little bit, because some authors, they can like present these situations really well. They give the character a background in which you really understand that regardless if you can see the situation in a rational way and see that the person's really trying to help, you still have that personal experience, I guess, in the back of your mind that's stopping you, like a personal trauma or something. But Farah didn't have that. It was just kind of like generational, which is also, you know, it's also meaningful and important, but I feel like it's still a little bit different. It still doesn't allow you to understand her as much as it would if something like happened to her personally, I guess. You know, because if a fairy, for example, really attacked her in the past, then you would get, you know, why she's being mean. Like, you would get it completely. It's like trauma. You can't go past that. That fast, at least.
Yeah, that was something that was missing, like a really like deeper understanding of character motivations. Like even though we were in Farah's head, all of those books, the first trilogy is from Farah's point of view. So you would think we would like truly deeply understand what Farah is thinking and feeling and what's like causing her to react in certain ways. But I feel like some of that was like missed, especially in the first book, because each time at the beginning she got like really defensive towards Tamlin, sort of came out of nowhere. Like I could not get like her thought process that led her towards reacting in that way towards someone who like truly was just being nice in that moment.
Yep, I completely agree. Now let's hop on to Lucian.
Right.
Okay, so Lucian I found him to be very charismatic at the beginning. You know, he was joking all the time. He was snarky. He was just like, you know, the kind of character I guess I like. I love the fact that he was challenging her and Tamlin. And once we realized that she killed, like you said, the part of their court, you also understood his kind of semi-hate towards her, you could say. So yeah, I liked Lucian in the beginning. And it seemed like him and Tamlin had this really cute relationship.
Yeah, like he was kind of like Tamlin's wingman a little bit, so...
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I have to... I'm sorry if I'm interrupting you, but I have to read you something that I found hilarious. So, I mean, since, like we said, this is spoilers for book 1, so I'm allowed to say this. We're not going, like, straight from the first chapter to the last one, so I'm just gonna say it straight out. We know about the curse and everything. And we know that Tamlin was literally trying to wow her and I guess make her fall in love with him. But at the beginning, we didn't know that. So certain conversations were very odd because Tamlin wasn't just nice to her. It felt like he wanted to spend time with her. You know, the first time that she left her room and she wanted to wander around, he stopped her and he wanted to go with her. And I was like, what is with this dude? I get that he like allows her to live there, but why would he want to hang out with her? I was so confused. So there was this one conversation that also really confused me. And I literally laughed so hard I cried. Okay, listen to this. They watched me too closely to be casual. Tamlin straightened a bit and said, "You look better than before." Was that a compliment? I could have sworn Lucian gave Tamlin an encouraging nod. And your hair is clean. Perhaps it was my raging hunger making me hallucinate the piss-poor attempt at complimenting me, etc., etc. But I died there. When he said, "Your hair looks clean," I didn't understand what was going on. This confused me. And there was another situation where they were asking her, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. This is so funny to me. They were like asking her about the human men in her life, if she had any. And she was like, there was this one boy or whatever that they were like, I don't know if she said they were intimate, but that they had a thing or whatever. And Lucian and Tamlin were like, did you love him? And she was like, no. And then they were like, was he handsome?
Like,
and Farah was like, so wait, you brought me here because you wanted to know if you're more handsome than the human guys? Like, what the hell is going on?
Honestly.
That was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
That was so hilarious.
Yeah, and okay, at this point we didn't know, but this is truly
Yeah.
like 500-year-old fairies, right? And like the first thing they do is just like gossip about cute guys. I was like, are you guys like, or don't you have like countries to run or something? Like, why are we talking about that?
I died
Yeah.
there. I'm not kidding. I think I even texted you and you weren't reading the book at that point, so you didn't know what I was talking about. But I was just telling you like how much of a hard laugh I'm having. But yeah, they were. I mean, when you realize what they were trying to do, you understand. But at that point, when you don't know, I really didn't. I remember having theories, but I didn't think of a curse, which is stupid. But I didn't. I didn't think of it at all. Honestly, I just knew that something was fishy. Something was being very strange there.
True. Like, yeah, that's like one thing about the beginning of this book that I also didn't love is that, yeah, we basically go into this whole new magical world. We go beyond this wall and then we meet like 3 people and don't like really know a lot about like how this world works. We don't meet any other characters. We like go like on little walks in the forest and that's basically it. And like I kind of like truly wanted for everything to be a little bit more built out. Like, I do get that this is basically the first book, like, the author probably, like, really wanted that foundation, and she wanted to, like, add more stuff in later. And also, like, with the plot, like, what we find out later, we, like, realize why there weren't many people there and why, you know, the world is the way it is. But, like, that's what I found a little bit boring about the beginning. Like, you get like this whole premise of like this wonderful new world with fairies, and then you meet 2 guys, and that's it. Yeah.
So you basically wanted a little bit more world building, right?
Absolutely. Like, you know, this like whole exciting universe, and the whole time you spend in like a little house with like 2 people. Like, you wanted something else to happen.
I get that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, I honestly, when I read it, I didn't think much of it and it didn't bug me. I actually liked that it was as simple. And yeah, I was curious about the other courts and I really hoped that they would eventually go there. But I don't know. I kind of liked just being in that house, you know, in Spring Court. I just imagined it very springy, you know, simple. And also, I love the like creepy, weird fairies in the woods. I loved the cereal. I mean, oh my gosh, the cereal was so cute and fun. It was so funny that like people kept saying, you know, how hard it is to catch it, and then Farah just like caught it, and they became friends or something. I don't know. Like he was just like the guy next door, the cool guy next door. I don't know. And yeah, and I loved how he gave her the answers that she kind of wanted, and when she got attacked, I felt like that whole situation was really fun and interesting, and I loved how you know, Tamlin saved her and how Lucian didn't save her. You know, I didn't want Lucian to be the one that saved her. I wanted Tamlin to get there and just be all hot and bothered and just help her out. So yeah. What did you think about the cereal?
Like, one of my favorite things about those books are absolutely like the weirder fairies and like all these fairy tale creatures. One of them being the surreal. I absolutely love how we got that build up that this is like such a dangerous ancient being that you really like need to trap and then be like so careful that it doesn't like still like murder you. And then like you actually meet him. He's basically like just here to gossip and like spill some tea and like get a new coat.
She was Dan Humphrey. Dan Humphrey, guys, okay? If you know, you know.
Right, yeah. So I actually like really enjoyed this sort of build up of expectations and what we actually got. And like I just like totally got attached to like all of those creatures in this sort of universe that we got to meet.
I know. It was cute. And let's talk like a little bit about the cute moments between Tamlin and Farah in this book. I really appreciated, for example, the Starlight Pool. I think that was their first scene when they got kind of like, I don't remember if it was their first scene. I think it was when they got kind of like, she got a little bit self-conscious because they had to take their clothes off and she didn't know if she wanted to. And I remember her checking him out. So I was like, oh, it's happening. That's nice, And I really loved their conversation there because she basically opened up to him. They talked about her life in the cabin, how she had to, help her sisters and her family to survive, and he just listened to her. And I remember her thinking how, she told him this because she really thought that he wanted to hear it. He wasn't just asking for the sake of asking. He really wanted to understand it. No. So I thought that was a cute little detail, and yeah, I really thought they were cute. And then that night when they had like that dance around the campfire, I don't remember it exactly, but I think that he played an instrument. I forgot what it was, and that was also so cute. And I remember this line where he just said, "Dance, Farah, dance." And then she was like, "And so I did." And it was so cute, and they danced the whole night away, and then their first really cute kiss happened. And I don't know, I felt their relationship was just so tender and sweet, It wasn't like that passion and danger and, that we normally, I suppose, like in books and TV shows. It was very more like tender and mysterious and cute. Yeah, cute. And I really appreciated that because usually I'm more for the, badass. But Tamlin was just always so nice. He wasn't the bad boy,
Yeah.
And I still really, really liked him as a love interest.
Yeah, it was kind of like what Farah really needed in that moment. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah, she had truly a hard life where she could really relax and do anything for herself. Like her sisters wouldn't let her have anything for herself, right? So
that's so sad, yeah.
Yeah, that was basically the first time in her life where she could just actually relax, actually go dancing, actually live for herself. And there were so many moments where she was truly understanding that she could just do that. I remember her feeling so much guilt, even knowing that her family is well taken care of, but she was still oh wait, I can just go paint and that's it. So that was actually really, really nice that Tamlin was that person for her to be there for her in those sort of moments.
Yeah.
So it was truly what she needed.
Yeah, and sorry, I'm interrupting again, but not just be there for her, but also just protect her. She finally had someone to protect her. And I remember thinking at a certain point that he felt a little bit possessive and controlling just because, he wouldn't let her go anywhere and stuff. And regardless of thinking that, I still understood, this was still a strange new world to her. She was still human, definitely capable of protecting herself. But also, I just kind of I understood him, let's just say that. And regardless of that, I just felt like in this time of her life, she needed someone that was just gonna protect her no matter what, and that was that extra with her. It might not be a good thing in normal life and in normal circumstance, but in her circumstance, it was good. You know what I mean? So like you said, he was the right person for her at that time, for sure.
Yeah, sure.
We're just we're not even halfway through, I think, but let's keep going. And since we're just talking about the cute, tender moments between them, I have to add one more because this is my absolute favorite. And I'm actually going to read from the book like I did before because it's so cute. Okay, so basically Tamlin says, "I've had many lovers," he admitted. "Females of noble birth, warriors, princesses. Rage hit me low and deep in the gut at the thought of them, rage at their titles, their undoubtedly good looks, at their closeness to him. But they never understood what it was like, what it is like for me to care for my people, my lands. What scars are still there, what the bad days feel like." The wrathful jealousy faded away like morning dew as he smiled at my painting. "This reminds me of it." "Oh, what?" I breathed. He lowered the painting, looking right at me, right into me. "That I'm not alone. I didn't lock my bedroom door that night." Oh, I don't know. I mean, this scene right there, it was so sad because I feel like we don't know much of Tamlin, and this kind of what he said here just told me that he's a really lonely and sad guy. I don't know. I remember what we know of his backstory is that he had a really brutal father, that he kept slaves and that in the war he was on the bad side, I guess, on the side that wanted to keep slaves and, treat people like shit. And he never agreed with that. But growing up like that and with siblings that always try and want to kill you and always trying to fight and survive. And he also mentioned that he didn't even want to be a High Lord. He was kind of forced into that situation. I don't know, that sounds like a really shitty existence. And let's not talk about the fact that he's over 500 years old. You know what Farah went through? She's 20, so it's also it's awful that she had to go through all of that as a child, but imagine going through all of that shit and keeping that trauma with you for 500 years. I don't know. And this kind of scene when he said that, it broke me. And the fact that he chose the painting, I remember her saying about this painting that it's very kind of like, I don't know, I don't remember the exact words, but kind of too sad for the spring court, because the spring court, it's supposed to be cheerful and bright and everything. And the painting is just very, gray and sad. And he was like, that's exactly what I'm like. That's exactly what he told her, That's me. That's who I am. I'm just surrounded by pretty flowers, but in reality, I'm just very, very dark and, negative, pretty much.
He was.
Okay. Another thing we should talk about, and I know you have opinions about this too.
Hey.
The Kalan Mai. I have no idea if it's pronounced the right way. But that's the ceremony in the cave.
Yeah.
He had to restore magic by having sex with this random fairy that he chooses amongst the fairies in that forest at that time. And I remember being annoyed, and I know you were annoyed too. That no one told her what was gonna happen. And then they were so angry at her for leaving her room. Remember? And I was just like, you never, you could have just told her about the ceremony and that it's dangerous for her, and she would have stayed put, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, we do find out, and I had my suspicions that there was probably some sort of super magic reason why they're not telling her anything about anything. Because we're in fairyland, I'm sure there's something deeper behind how secretive and cagey they're all being towards her. But even having said that, we know about the curse now, if we finished reading, but there was nothing about this curse that would specifically stop them from talking about Kalan Mai. And that was just something I don't understand the logic of. What were they thinking would happen if, Tamlin, Lucian, Alice, everyone was just yeah, it's dangerous, don't go there. And she was like, why it's dangerous? Well, the truth is, stay in your room. Of course that's not going to work, right?
To be fair,
huh?
They probably did. They did tell her it was dangerous. I mean, that part they did say. They did just say, they didn't specify why, right?
Exactly.
If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I do think they basically just said don't go there. You're not supposed to go there because it's dangerous. I think they said dangerous, but there was no actual evidence of why it's dangerous. And that's why I'm absolutely on Farah's side or whatever in that moment. Because again, Farah is a hunter. She survived in the woods alone since she was a 14-year-old. If you just tell her don't go into those woods, there's some danger in there. I understand why she would be screw it, I survived that far and you're not telling me anything. I will go and check it out. And then they had the nerve to really get mad at her. I remember Lucien was like, what? No one told you? Yeah, none of you told her. Why are you mad at her? When you're the ones who didn't communicate with her. That was so frustrating to me. Because, they could have just said that, there'll be a lot of fairies that will genuinely want to murder her. Or if a human goes there, they could have given her actual reasons why she should stay in her room besides vague whatever that obviously a 19-year-old isn't going to listen to that.
Yeah, that was annoying to me too, because for other things we understand why they didn't tell her, but Kalan Mai, it wasn't that big of a deal. If they told her, no one would get hurt. She would just know. But I mean, there was also another thing. She was kind of being magically pulled to that place, so I think that she would still go there regardless. But that's a story for another day, because But yeah, I'm glad that she went because it was very interesting to me. I felt very awkward once I realized that Tamlin was gonna have sex with her random fairy, and I was annoyed actually because I wanted them together, and it was just gross. So maybe I understood Tamlin at that point because I was like, maybe he didn't want to tell her that that he was gonna have sex with someone else, especially because he was trying to make her fall in love with him. So that's kind of gross, I'm gonna go in a cave and have sex with someone else because I'm supposed to, because of this weird ritual thing and whatever. I guess he felt awkward. And we all know that Tamlin is definitely awkward. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if a guy gives you a compliment that your hair looks clean, you know that he's awkward. He's not smooth. So I can imagine him feeling a little bit embarrassed in a sense. But Lucian could have told her. And Lucian, I mean, I remember he was like, no one told you? And I was like, geez, dude, who would have told her? I mean, Tamlin, like, who else would have told her?
Exactly.
Don't.
Like, Lucian was, like, pissed off at Feyre at, like, a couple of moments throughout this book where I thought that was absolutely uncalled for. Because, sure, you have the curse preventing from telling Feyre everything that's going on. Sure, yeah, like, physically you cannot tell her. But then, like, Lucian at times was just like, I can't believe you did this. Like, don't you, like, know what will happen if you do that? Like, of course she doesn't.
Oh my God.
None of you are telling her anything. She can't read minds.
Yeah, exactly. She's not. I mean, if she was a fairy, maybe she could, but she's not. So shut the fuck up. Oh, jeez, that was frustrating. Yeah. But okay, let's not skip the part where we meet a certain someone in the woods, bitches. Okay, we meet this mysterious man who she says is the most beautiful man she has ever seen, and honestly, I was impressed by that. I was like, okay, we all love the most beautiful man trope. Okay, we love that. But I was also annoyed for Tamlin because, like, at this point, I was a Tamlin shipper. I wanted them to be together, and I didn't like the fact that she looked at this random stranger and thought that. I was like, no, Tamlin is the most beautiful man. I mean, okay, let's not forget about the fact that we can't see Tamlin's face yet because of the stupid mask that he has completely, but still. I was annoyed at that. So, but yeah, I mean, in general, I really liked this mysterious stranger. He intrigued me. I liked how he kind of saved her, rescued her. I was surprised that he didn't that he wasn't poking that he wasn't poking her a bit more, about who she is. He was very, he was supposed to be like represented as this bad boy, but he was very respected. He kind of helped her out. He asked her what she was doing there. And when he noticed she wasn't gonna say anything, he just left her and he was like, okay, well, take care. So that was kind of surprising, because if he was this evil guy, why didn't he, I don't know, do something, or I don't know. Let's just say, what I'm trying to say here is that he intrigued me because, yeah, he was this mystery man, bad boy vibes, but kind of like still kind of nice, he helped her out.
Okay, interesting that you have that opinion and that you've had it from the very start, because as I was like reading through the first encounter, let's say, first of all, I rolled eyes hard at the most beautiful man she's ever seen. Like, I was just like, oh, come on. Like, yeah, you've seen like 4 people in your village, like, so of course you're gonna think that.
I mean, by her standards, okay?
Yeah, so that was just like a bit too cheesy for me. And yeah, like, I got that in this situation. Like, he like came in, he was the hero, and like pushed those guys away, like saved her. But like, I sort of from the beginning got the feeling that there was some ulterior motive of why he's doing this. Like, I didn't think that he was just like saw a girl in trouble and just out of the goodness of his heart decided to step in. Like, I thought,
of course, yeah.
Like, there was like either like he wanted a favor, like we're in Fairyland. Remember, like, everyone has those favors, everyone owes someone something. So I thought like either he wants to like get a favor from Tamlin or from her, or he wants to like find something out. Like, he wants to like gather some information for some reason. Like, I sort of like got this kind of shady feeling from him. Like, there's like no way he's just like nice and just like wanted to be nice.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, maybe I didn't express myself well enough. I guess what I was trying to say, I did get a feeling like that as well. But when he just left and he didn't say anything, he didn't ask for any favors, he didn't like push. I was like, okay, well, I mean, we're probably gonna see more of him,
Yeah.
and it's probably gonna get a lot more complicated, definitely. But at that point, I was like, okay, well, cute, he helped her out, at least that. I don't know. So but I was intrigued by him in general because I knew that there was more to him than just this pretty face or this bad boy
Sure.
thing or
Yeah.
whatever. And I also really kind of like that line when he says, "Oh, there you are. I've been looking for you because of reasons."
Sure.
Which we'll not discuss right now.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, and let's move on to the post Calamine thing when she runs into Tamlin in the hallway and he gets all aggro, sexy with her. And let's just say that I like that. I felt the heat, okay? I felt the heat. And I know Farrah was like, get away from me or whatever, but she was like, no, please stay. No, please don't go away. So I really like that. I thought Tamlin was super hot there. And yeah, how he I always like it when men really like the female protagonist,
Mhm.
and they're like, "Will you dare? I went after you." It was like super okay, animalistic and hot. So I really like that encounter. It was fun.
Okay, yeah, probably the fact that he just had to have had sex with someone else
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
killed the mood.
Talk about that. Okay, that doesn't exist. I'm delusional right now. I live in my own little delusional bubble, and I don't want to know that. Okay,
Sure.
he did not.
Yeah.
He did not. Oh, and another thing, I mean, I feel like I'm just trying to get through all the things that happened before she was sent away, just so that we can discuss all those and then we can go to the part where she's sent away and
Oh, yeah.
everything that happens after, I
Mhm.
guess. Another thing that I've also liked in that time was, I mean, I didn't like it when the blue fairy, died, when
Oh my god.
they found that fairy dying
Yeah.
and they took him in and they wanted to help him and Farah was holding his hand and she said something along the lines of, holding him hand because she doesn't want him to die alone
Yeah.
or something like that. And I really felt that. That was really sad. And I also really liked how kind Tamlin was. I think he said a prayer for him and then he told her to go and that he'll bury him. And yeah, that was just such like a sad moment, but also a deep, meaningful moment between Tamlin and Farah, that they shared that. So I like that being there. And I was also more intrigued about, who was this guy? Why did he die? What
Mhm.
happened? And
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
because at that point we sort of get a little bit of an explanation that something bad is happening in the land, but we truly don't get more of an explanation than that. So that was definitely something that I truly wanted to find out more about. And
Mhm.
yeah, that was also a moment where we can see Feyre's character growth because, right, she started as someone who just thought about fairies as evil, irredeemable monsters, but then here she is holding this fairy's hand so that he doesn't have to die alone. And we just can truly see that she won't hold on to her old beliefs now that she is finding out more about this world and that she's truly a kind person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And then I don't know. I mean, we probably skipped a lot, but we're not gonna talk about everything. So I guess let's talk about when they're having dinner or lunch or something. And that was also a funny moment, by the way, in that moment when Lucian was like noticing her hickey on her neck. And, where did you get that? And she basically just was so proud of it. It was funny. And I feel like in that lunch, Rysand came, the,
Yeah.
charming,
Yeah.
mystery, beautiful guy. And, Farah was hidden and everything. And it was so surprising to me how scared everyone was of him. I was like, what is this guy, a demon? What powers does he have that everyone's running scared? So that really intrigued me too. And yeah, when he noticed her and when he made them all kneel and stuff, I was like, this guy is a bitch. What is wrong with him? Why is he making them kneel? He's super, I mean, I still knew that there was more to him and everything, but that really bugged me. And then after that, Tamlin pretty much sent Farah away because he wanted to keep her safe.
True, yeah. And Feyre was a really quick thinker, giving a different name to like this evil stranger, right?
What do you mean?
When like
Oh, right,
Ted was
yeah.
like
When
controlling
he
their
gave her
minds, and she was like,
yeah,
"I'm Claire."
yeah,
So
yeah.
that was like,
That was, yeah, good that she didn't give him his real name because later on we find out that Claire's whole family died and Claire was kidnapped and tortured by Amaranta. But yeah, I mean, it's too bad that she gave like a real person's
mhm,
name. So that's kind of sad, but I understand her. She had to think quick.
right.
So yeah, I get that.
Mhm,
But yeah, I also thought, once we realized that there was a curse and that all that needed to happen was for Farah to tell Tamlin, I love you,
mhm.
and the curse would have been broken, I just thought how selfless Tamlin was. Like, seriously, you could have just kept her for a day more and maybe she would say, I love you too, or something. Because at that point, when he sent her away in the carriage,
Yeah.
he said to her, I love you. And sadly, she didn't say it back, even though she did think it. So I was even more frustrated at that. But I understand she wasn't ready and she didn't know what was going on. So I don't blame her. But I was like, yeah, oh my gosh, Tamlin, like, kudos to you, He wanted, he prioritized her safety over their survival. That's how much he cared.
Yeah, that like really shows that this love isn't fake. It's not just because of the
Yeah,
curse. Like he doesn't like give a shit about this curse at this point. He just
yeah,
wants,
yeah. Maybe it pushed them into the situation,
yeah, yeah.
She wouldn't have been there if it weren't for the
Hmm.
curse because he did need her. But it did really develop and it did really happen. It was a thing. It wasn't fake.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I feel like if it was, I think the curse, I mean, if, for example, if it was fake and she's just said it for the sake of it, I don't think the curse would have worked. It's probably like, I don't know, it can probably feel the honesty or something. I don't know. It's magic. What do
Yeah.
I know? But yeah.
Yeah, we're in a fairy tale. We have like all these magic
Yeah,
curses.
exactly.
Yeah, like all these like trials she has to go through. That I just really enjoyed this part of the story so much.
Yep. And like, Amaranta being the evil bitch she
Yeah.
is, I mean, she basically cursed the whole. I mean, you know this, if listener, if you've read the book, which you
Well,
probably did, otherwise you wouldn't be listening. But yeah, she basically cursed all the courts. And if he found someone who would tell him he loved him, not just someone, like a human with a heart full of hate for
yeah.
fairies, because Amarantha, she had kind of like a personal. Her sister was killed by a human,
Yeah.
so she hated humans. Really, really hated them, tortured them, everything,
Mhm.
and she wanted to, win, like, make them into her slaves and whatever. So yeah, she turned the courts to her own personal slaves in a way. But Tamlin's court was the only one that stayed put because she gave them the chance to break the curse, I guess, because she liked playing games. That was who she was.
Yeah.
And yeah, so anyway, Tamlin sent Farah away and she went to her house, to her home with Ness. I mean, not just her house, she went to a new house. Anya, let's talk about that. Where did she go?
She went to a beautiful manor that Tamlin just somehow. Actually, I do want to think about that. Like, how did Tamlin have access to human money and housing, and was just like able to like give them everything? Like, did we like get that ever explained? I don't think so.
I mean, I don't think he gave them the house. He just he kind of, I think, no, Farah's father, he lost his money when he sent it like on a
Yeah.
ship and that ship got lost at
Hmm.
sea. But he kind of sent someone to their home and that someone told them that the ship actually didn't get lost at the end or something like that and that it was found and that he's even richer than he was before. So yeah, he gave them the money and then they bought the house themselves. But I think that in Prithian, they don't have, I mean, this is the same continent. They probably have the same currency. So, and he's rich af, he's like old and rich and a lord. So he probably
Or they
has.
just like have like gold and like precious jewels. So yeah,
Yeah,
he probably could
exactly.
have
Like,
just like shipped a bunch of gold to them. That's
exactly.
it.
Just precious jewels and gold.
Uh-huh.
And well,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what he did. And they were rich again. Well, they were even richer than they were before. They lived in this big house in a manor. And yeah, Farah got there and she realized how much Tamlin has helped her family, and that when she worried in the spring court about their safety and who's gonna provide for them then, and he told her not to worry, that they're taken care of. that was an understatement, people. Like, they weren't just taken care of. They were like proper, like, I don't know, proper rich now.
Rich.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone was happy to see her, I guess, a bit shocked. I mean, no, they thought she was living. He even sold them a fake story that she was living
Mhm.
with her aunt, helping her because she was sick. And then the aunt died and she
Yeah.
came back. And yeah, Elaine and her dad were super excited. While Nesta's a different story because it turns out that the glamour didn't work on her. Because Tamlin glamored them when he left, that nothing happened and told them about the fake story. But it didn't work on Nesta, so she remembered everything, which was impressive, we could say. And I honestly, let me tell you my theory at this point. So
Okay.
let's pretend I didn't read the books, the other books. At this point, my
Okay.
theory is that Nesta is actually part Fae. And that that her, because we all heard about her mom too, that her mom was very cold and that she resembled Nesta in a lot of ways, and she was kind of this mysterious figure. And I just thought, okay, well, what if Nesta, she's not her father's daughter? What if she's part Fae? And this is why the glamour didn't work on her. I thought there was more to it, and also the fact that Nesta was the closest to her mother. I thought there was a reason for that. I really honestly thought a lot more of the mother and that the mother's plot was gonna be important in future books. Anyways, it didn't work on Nesta, and she was traumatized by it, and she actually went back to help Feyre, save her, to rescue her. What did you think of that?
That was a nice little redemption moment for her.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I just sort of thought that she was just like very strong-willed and had like a powerful mind, and that's why the glamour didn't like hold on her, right? So I didn't like think further on it. Yeah, I was just like sort of impressed that she's just like really was able to break through it, but thought like people could maybe do that. And yeah, like, I was so happy with the way Nesta reacted to like finding everything out. Because by at that point, like we just like know of like the Nesta in the lake is just like really ungrateful, like really like sort of delusional about how bad their situation is, about how they're treating Feyre. So I was like really like expecting like Nesta, and like they hate fairies, right? So I was like truly expecting Nesta to like be so judgmental towards Feyre and to like hate her or react negatively.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really happy to get that moment where she just encouraged her to basically go and like save her true love.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that too. I was positively surprised. I really, like you said, I thought she was definitely gonna judge her for falling in love with a Fae. So Nesta surprised me there a lot, and that's when I realized that there's more to her than just this snarky bitch-ass sister. I also loved when she said that she went after her, that she went to save her, and that she broke it off with that
Oh my gosh,
boy.
yes.
And she was like, when Farah asked her, why did you break it off with him? And she was like, he wouldn't come with me. And I was like, that's such a good, he didn't want to come save her sister. So why would she be with
Yes.
disloyal man? So that was such a good moment for her. And I loved how after that, she asked Farah to teach her how to paint. I thought that was super cute and sweet. And she spent a lot of time with Elaine in the gardens. And it really felt like they were bonding and just, yeah, it was such a positive environment at that time. I was so happy for Farah that she got that time with her sisters. And yeah, but it was, of course, it wasn't that long. It was short. She had to go back eventually when she realized some things. And do you remember why she went back? I remember them having dinner and there was something said, and Farah was like, something just rang bells in her head, and she was like, okay, I have to go. But I don't remember what it was.
Remember Claire?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember? Yeah.
Oh, yes. I remember now. Yeah.
Something like happened to like a village girl from like where they were like living previously in that shack, and like what was that family? Better, right? Like Claire and Pharaoh was just like, oh shit. Oh, that cannot be a coincidence.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Need to leave right now. Okay.
Yep. And I loved how at that moment when she said that, Nesta kinda shushed her father and Elaine because they were obviously clueless. And she was like,
Yeah.
what do you need from me? And that's all she said. Just what do you need? How can I help you? And I love that. I will not
Finally.
question
Thank
back.
God.
Just ride or die. And I love a ride or die bitch. I love it. So
And it was a long time coming. Oh my God. Like, should have started doing this like years ago
yeah.
when Pharaoh was basically
I
providing
mean,
for you.
you
But
could I don't know, argue that they were dealing with it in their own way, with the trauma of losing everything, of people not being there for you, the people who you thought were your friends. And Farah, I guess she was younger. She didn't understand what she lost, but Nesta did. She was older. She had all the riches. She mattered. She was someone, and then she lost that. And for someone with a high ego, that must have hurt. And I'm not excusing her by any means, but that's how she responded to it. And no one's perfect, I suppose.
But as the older, yeah, it was really like sort of on her to take control of that situation and that responsibility. Like, of course, it's horrible, but as the older sister, like, like you have like two sisters who are younger, who are more vulnerable. And yeah, she really should have come around sooner and have started doing more, having more responsibility for them sooner. But, I'm just glad that at this point she came around. Maybe it like helped that she had a nice house again, but
yeah. I mean, before we go to the part where Farah ran back to Frisian and everything, I just want to add another comment about Nesta, and then we'll move on. Yeah, what I also didn't like was that she was all of those things for Elaine. She was the bigger sister for Elaine. She was there for her. She protected her. She guarded her.
yes.
And with Farah, she wasn't. I was like, why such big love for one sister and the other is like shit to you? I don't get it. I really thought that Farah maybe did something to her as a child, or if I wanted a reason, like a legit reason for why she disliked Farah as much. But we didn't get it. So, okay.
No. It was like she was sort of delusional about just how much Farah is doing for them. It was sort of like she was just like thinking that the money and the food that they got just like fell out of the sky or something with the way that Farah was treated. So
yeah, I don't know. She was delusional.
yeah, it was like
fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. Farah, well, she basically runs away to Prythian again, and not again, but she goes there willingly this time. And she realizes that Tamlin's whole estate is, oh my gosh, again, sorry guys, another thing. Wasn't that part funny when Farah realized that she wasn't alone in the house, when the Fae, they were all like masked, they were invisible, and every single time that she wanted to run away, they actually saw her and they probably laughed around her behind her back. And Alice, she looked like, I don't remember how they described her later on, but she looked like she was a different type of fairy. She had like green skin or something. Yeah. And Farah never saw her. And when she saw her for who she was the first time, she was so shocked. And she was like, who the hell are you? And she was like, girl, what's wrong with you? I'm Alice. That was funny. So anyways, yeah, when she runs back to the state, none of these people that she then, understood were actually are there anymore. It's abandoned. But Alice is actually there. She came back to gather some stuff, equipment. She has 2 nephews that she has to take care of. And we get a big, big, big info dump by Alice here. Like, oh my gosh, I think it was 2 pages long. That was too much. I honestly thought that was really poorly written, because I at least give her time to breathe. She didn't even have any little instances in between when Farah would ask her something. She just talked and talked and talked and talked, and I was like, oh my Jesus Christ.
That, and also the attitude she had towards Farah in that moment was also truly frustrating to me, because she was actually so mad that Farah A returned to Prythian and B left in the first place when she still had like a day or something to save them. And Alice was truly like so mad at her, as if Farah like knew what she was doing. Like, that's like what frustrated me about Alice and Lucian in this book, because they just like went in and were like pissed off that Feyre for like making quite reasonable choices with the information that she had at that point. But they were like, how could she do this? Don't you know what kind of consequences will this have? Obviously, she doesn't. You guys aren't telling her anything. So, like, at this moment when, Alice finally was, like, allowed to, like, physically talk about it, first of all, she input up everything. Second of all, she was like, how could you, like, come back and how could you, like, leave in the first place? Don't you, like, know what this means? Of course she doesn't. So, like, be a nice person and let her know. Right?
Yeah, I agree. She kind of judged her for things she had no control of. So that annoyed me too. I was glad, however, that we finally, found out about the curse and why Tamlin didn't say anything. It was basically because he couldn't. No one could. And they were forbidden to talk about it. So yeah, Feyre basically just decides that she's not gonna allow Tamlin to sacrifice himself. And she also kind of feels guilty a little bit that she didn't tell him she loved him, which is understandable. So she kind of she asks Alice to take her under the mountain. Under the mountain is basically the place where Amarantha is keeping everyone. And she kind of designs the place to look like the night court supposedly looks like. They basically live like in a cave system under, I don't know, a mountain, I suppose. And yeah, this is called Under the Mountain, like such an original name, whatever. And yeah, Feyre goes there without any weapons, without a plan, which is another thing that kind of bugs me. I mean, I guess, I don't know, I suppose I understand, like, a love-struck fool, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, she's 19. It's the love of her life. Like, she has, like, one chance. Like, of course she's gonna do... Like, she can't, like, really lose time. Like, who knows what's happening.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, let's not overanalyze it. She just goes there and tries to rescue her man, her meal, whatever. And
oh god.
Oh my gosh, let's not. Okay, guys, just another like thing that Anya and I are really both annoyed by. Sometimes we feel like Sarah J. Maas really repeats certain words too much. For example, like, I mean, not necessarily in this book. I think this book was pretty okay, but in later books, like, for example, male, female, mate, high lady, high, whatever, just she repeats them too much. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Whenever she wants to make a point, she makes it like 25 times to like make sure we like really get it.
Yeah,
and you got it the first 4 times.
Yeah, and sometimes, good books, you don't need to have things repeated that much. You just feel them. You feel it from the actions and from what's happening. You don't need the actual words. So yeah, okay, but that's a story for another time. Let's leave it for the second and third book and whatever. Okay, so yeah, she comes here and of course, literally she walks into that stupid cave or whatever, and she's, in that moment, that second, she gets kidnapped. I mean, she gets caught. So, like, I don't know, I at least hoped she would last for 5 minutes. Like, she didn't last for 5 minutes, it was a minute, it was a second. But yeah, she immediately got caught, and they took her to Amarantha and the badass bitch queen. And she asked her who she was. Yeah, they realized there immediately that she was the girl that Tamlin was in love with. So what did she ask her at that moment? I forget. Did she ask her to take part of this trial, and that if she completes all 3 tasks, right, she can save Tamlin and live happily ever after?
Yeah, we basically just get the feeling that Amarantha is, first of all, super evil. Second of all, just lives for drama and entertainment, so she just wants this human girl to like provide some entertainment for the court and go through all those obviously impossible tasks just to, have some fun, because at this point I feel like Amarantha thinks that she won already and that nothing can stop her.
True.
But she also like gives her this little riddle, remember?
Oh my god, that riddle. Oh my gosh, I can't with that riddle. It was so simple and so easy. And I remember when Feyre, like in later books, I think she brags about it, and she was like, "I was the one that saved us. I was the one that solved the riddle." And I was like, "Girl, that riddle was made for primary school for like little kids. I mean, the solution was so easy. Okay, guys, if you're listening, let us know if you knew the answer to the riddle, if you understood it very fast or you also didn't like think about it or whatever, because I got it immediately. I knew the answer immediately.
I didn't even read the entire riddle. I was just like, I'm not reading all of this, but the answer is love. What else could it be? Like time or love, usually.
Oh my god, yes, that was
just like say some like usual like riddle type nouns, just in case something sticks, right? Don't even like listen to the riddle. Like she should have just like said some words, like I don't know, say like bread, love,
but I don't
time,
think I don't
universe.
I mean,
whatever.
I understand her not wanting to do that because like, what if it's just a one-time thing? She has to answer one time.
Oh, was that specified?
Yeah, but Amarantha, like, but that's the problem. But that's the problem. If Amarantha doesn't specify things, she has to specify them. Otherwise, there are loopholes everywhere.
Yeah.
So, anyways, she also gives her this riddle, and yeah, if she does know the answer immediately, she can save them all right there. But she didn't. So she gets locked up, and of course, before she gets locked up, she gets beaten. And yeah, she gets taken to her cell, and she also needs to do these little chores. And of course, Rysand is there. By the way, Anya, is it Rysand or Rysand?
Fantastic question, Nina.
I have no idea. I prefer Rysand, and I also always call him Rysand, actually. I'm just calling him Rysand right now because I don't know, in my head I was like, my pronunciation is probably wrong. So, but I don't know. I'm gonna call him Rysand because I like Rysand. And guys, listeners, if you know, let us know who is right. Anya says Rysand and I say Rysand, just so that you know, so that you can say Anya's right or Nina is right.
Absolutely. I was not paying attention to how I pronounce it, so just a disclaimer. We might say names wrong.
Yeah.
We might say things wrong.
Yeah. Disclaimer by the end of the podcast, no problem.
Sure.
Oh, okay. So yeah, she gets locked up in that cell, and she also, I don't remember, like the first time she gets a chore involving him, she's sent into his room, right? And she has to clean his chimney out, and then he walks into the room, and they have this little banter. And did he like? But he actually, before this happened, he told her that he was gonna parade her around, or what was their deal? Oh no, Anya, help me out here. I'm super confused about how things were happening.
Okay. So I think before, like, when she first gets locked up and till the first trial, I don't think like we like really like see Rysand, or I guess like we see that he's there, but I don't think they have any contact by that point. But then, she has to like go and murder a giant worm, and she somehow succeeds in that. So you go, Feyre. That was actually like really impressive and badass.
Really good.
I enjoyed that.
Me too.
Yeah. And he was the only one who bet on her.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, that was so nice. And when she was battling the worm, Lucian also kind of helped her. I think he called out to her or something, and he told her to, I don't know, dodge left, or I don't know. But I know he helped her a little bit, and Rysand, he kind of bet on her, so that was cute. And after that, of course, because the worm was dangerous, she broke her arm or something. It was really messed up, or she got bitten. I don't remember. And
her arm was definitely messed up. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And so she got sent to her cell, and he came and he helped her out. I mean, he gave her an offer. He told her that he could heal her arm in exchange for 2 weeks of her life spent in his castle each month. And of course, she was against that because she thought, this guy is a monster. Like, I don't want that. But her arm was hurting. But I really didn't like what Rysand did here. He kind of broke it a little bit more. Like, he squeezed it or something. To make her agree. So that was kind of rough also. Like, yeah, that wasn't pleasant. So yeah, he squeezed her arm and she agreed, but they agreed on 1 week instead of 2. Or I think maybe it was 2 that he officially offered, or 3, I don't know. Just I know it was more than what she then bargained for. So yeah, she got the tattoo.
Yeah, she got a tattoo. Her arm was fixed, but yeah, we have just like this like mysterious guy who is sort of helping her, but he's also sort of being an awful asshole at the same time. And I do remember at this point I was like sending you voice notes like, what's this guy's deal? Because I can like tell that there's something more behind what he's doing. Like, I don't think he's just like purely evil for the sake of being evil. There has to be like some sort of motivation behind like why he's like so interested, I guess, in Feyre and so like involved with like her trial and like helping her. But like I could not get his motivation by this point. I was just like guessing like why does he care so much, right?
Yeah, I guessed actually. I mean, when he told her that he bet on her and then wanting to help her, I just kind of thought that everyone thought he was a Miranda's whore. Like that was literally the term. And I just knew that there was more to him. I thought I actually did think at that point that he was probably just doing it to help everyone secretly. But of course, he had to play a part so that people wouldn't, know. So that she wouldn't know actually. So I kind of knew.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that when if Feyre brings all these tasks and saves Tamlin, that she's not only saving, her true love, she's also like saving literally all of the Fae that are stuck under the mountain. Like that's just something that I kind of just, I mean, it was obvious, but I sort of didn't like truly put two and two together. So if you do put two and two together, then like of course he would want to help this girl because he wants to like go home and like not be stuck and controlled here anymore. So in that case, it actually like makes sense why he's doing everything he's doing.
Yep. So yeah, and after that, he parades also Feyre every night. There's like they have these parties at night, these balls, and he just dresses her up. Well, actually, he kind of undresses her. She's pretty much like naked in these like little dresses. You can see her breasts and probably her ass too. And she's like she has tattoos. Oh, I mean not tattoos, just like paint all over her body, so that if anyone else touches her where they're not supposed to, you can tell. And yeah, he makes her like sit on his lap and he touches her upper body. He never goes below her waist. I remember that. But that was all kind of annoying to me to read that, just because, like I didn't like that. I mean, why was that necessary, parading her like that? And I was just annoyed.
Yeah, at that point, like, yeah, Raisan just like truly seemed like an asshole. Still I didn't get the feeling that he was truly just like trying to help her because he just like was so nice. Like it truly like felt like there was like some ulterior motives. So of course like he healed her arm, but he couldn't just like heal her arm and be like, okay. He like used this opportunity to like, like Tamlin jealous or whatever else was in like his mind. Like that was just like so confusing to me. But yeah, I was like really like not comfortable reading all of those descriptions of Feyre just like dressing in a way that she definitely wasn't comfortable.
And he was dragging
getting
her.
painted. Yeah, and then just like blacking out and like not remember anything that happened at night. And like then we get an explanation that was like the only thing like he could think of to like keep her safe, make sure that she's like not dying and she's not in that cell, but also like still be that like evil creepy character so that no one is like doubting him. So there was like really like not much he could do to like get his plan done, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it like before you know that you're just like not comfortable reading Feyre being put in that position. Like it wasn't like good.
I mean, I don't know. Even when we find out, I still thought it was unnecessary. I didn't really see the point in that, and I feel like a lot of people forget that about him, or dismiss it, kind of like excuse it. I don't know, but that's a part of Rysand that I never really kind of liked, honestly. And even but we shouldn't talk about that now because that's for the second book. I guess we should discuss that there.
Yeah.
So yeah, but what I did like was in the second test he helped her out because she had to remember she had to choose something and she couldn't because she had to read it out on the wall and she didn't know how to read. So Resent, he kind of forced her hand. He has obvious abilities, and he used the connection that they had with the arm, because they did the bargain, and she had her arm tattooed because of the bargain. That's like part of the Night Court lore. So yeah, he helped her choose the right answer, and that's how he saved her and Lucian too, because Lucian was the one that was on the line. His life was on the line. So that was also a really nice thing to do, and I really liked him for it.
Can I be annoying about Lucian for a second again?
Yes, of course.
So as we know, Feyre was, after the first trial in that cell, literally a couple of days, if not hours, away from literally dying because she was beat up, her arm was hurting, all of that, and there was like no help coming. And then Rysand came and actually like gave her that bargain, and it was absolutely shitty, but Feyre then agreed because like she truly had no choice. She obviously had no choice by that point because she was close to literal death, right? And then a couple, I think, days later, Lucien like finally showed up. And when he found out that Feyre took this bargain with Rysand, he was so pissed off. He was like, how could you do this? How couldn't you wait for me? Like, girl, she was dying.
Yeah.
Like, you showed up like days later. She would have been like dead on this bed in this cell if she waited that long. So how could you possibly be mad at her for trying to survive and trying to save your best friend and trying to save you, and just like using like the only opportunity she had to do that? But no, like, you had the nerve to be pissed off at her when she would have literally been dead, because like I think like Lucian was like also like beat up and like wasn't able to like go help her any earlier. But still, like, he had no right to be pissed off at her by that point, because she would have literally died if she was just like waiting around for you any longer.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I liked Lucian at the beginning, but honestly, as the book progressed, I didn't like him anymore. Honestly, I mean, he just annoyed me. Like you said, stupid. I mean, it's like he isn't intelligent. Sometimes I thought that. I don't know. But if I play the devil's advocate, I could say that, he's Fae. He maybe didn't think about the fact that Feyre's human and that her, arm can heal probably a bit slower than his arm would heal. But still, it's still so stupid to judge her. It's like he's very judgy. And I really don't like judging people. I just don't. So he gives me the ick a little bit. I did empathize with him because, he did kind of help her in that first trial, and then he got whipped for it. And that was kind of sad, but yeah.
That was, but I still feel like he did sort of always believe that Feyre is just stupid. Like, there was, all those moments where he was like really judging her while Feyre was doing the best she had with the information she possessed. Like, I actually like thought that for the most part, like, I was like annoyed at her at some moments, like at the very beginning when she was like mean to Tabling, when there was like really no reason to be mean to him. But for the most part, Feyre was actually like pretty rational in that book. Like, she's like 19, right? And she doesn't have all the information because like all of you are physically unable to tell her anything more. So with what she knows, she's like truly like doing her best.
Yeah.
Like, she's like not like being like stupid or irrational. Like, okay, like she like ran into that mountain, but still, like, I don't think she like really was like some, like, she still had skills, right? She kept her family alive by hunting for all those years. So I don't think that she was like one of those protagonists who like knows nothing, has zero experience, like has no idea what they're doing, and then just like runs into battle and somehow is like she like still like did her best with like the knowledge she had and like the information that she had. And like I really didn't appreciate all of those times when supposedly her friends just like judge her like as if she was like a fucking dumbass. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that is true. You did get that vibe from Lucian. Like, he kind of thought he was stupid a bit. But in actuality, he was the one that was a bit stupid. But yeah.
Yeah.
Then, okay, let's skip to the last trial where she has to literally kill 3 people. I was actually scared at that point because there were three people that it was gonna be Alice and her two nephews. Because they also said like a girl and two boys, and I was like, okay, she has two boy nephews, so I mean boy nephews, obviously boy nephews, but yeah, I was kind of scared of that. And anyways, it was like a plot twist that it was Tamlin. And I was like, you bitch, this is not fair. But I also knew that it was weird. Like, I knew there was a catch. No way that they would kill Tamlin off in the first book. But since I kind of got this vibe from Rhysand, like they might actually kind of like each other or something, I was like, wait, are they gonna go there? And are they literally gonna kill Tamlin off so that then she can be with Rhysand? I was scared of that. But yeah, I was glad when it turned out that Amarantha was bluffing, because obviously she wanted Tamlin for herself. So why would she get rid of him? Didn't make sense.
Actually, when we found out that there were three people and we couldn't see their faces, my first thought was that Amarantha somehow got a hold of her family, that was Nestelling and her father.
But
I was actually like fully believing, even when like they like took the masks off and she was like murdering them, I thought, what if like the glamour falls away and it's actually her dad?
That's a good one.
But how fucked up it is that my mind went into like a more fucked up place than Amarantha even thought of. That's like not okay from me.
Yeah. There must be something wrong with you, Anya. No, yeah, but no, that's a legit good one. I mean, I didn't think of that. I really thought of Alice. I don't know. I guess I didn't think of that option because I was like, maybe they're gonna be important in the future. But I knew that Alice and her nephews probably wouldn't be. So, anyways, she ends up stabbing Tamlin because his heart is made of stone and she can't hurt him. And then all hell breaks loose because everyone, obviously, all the Fae, they're like, oh my gosh, she actually did it. Now you have to break the curse, Amarantha. You said so. But Amarantha's like, yeah, I did, but I never said when, bitches. Okay. And I knew that was gonna happen. You have to be careful with the stupid words. Everything matters. Loopholes are a thing in this world. So, yeah, she loses her shit and she starts torturing Farah, breaking her bones. That was so traumatic, guys. Like, I was dying, but Farah was in actuality dying, and she died. She snapped her neck. And honestly, it was so interesting to hear how Rhysand was kind of crying her name out and how he was like trying to come and protect her. And so that was also so weird because I didn't get like, yeah, he was kind of nice to her and everything if we don't think about the problematic aspects. But I was like, when did he grow so emotionally attached? What is it with this dude? It was so weird.
That's absolutely the truth, because I remember even talking about this with you or like sending this to you in the voice note that like before Under the Mountain, Rhysand like really met Feyre one time in this dance, and they talked for like 14 seconds. So before I like understood that, of course, he's saving her like at least because he also wants to be rid of Amarantha, so that's how that makes logical sense. I was thinking like, did they really like meet for like 14 seconds and he's that crazy in love with her that he will like do everything that she does today? Like, it felt unrealistic.
Yeah. I didn't dig it. Like I said, I like it when when the guys are really into the girl, but I need to get more first, like actual reasons, because then I get invested. But if it's just like for the sake of it, I'm like, what the hell, this is too much. Anyways, it was super sad. I was super sad for Farah, for her being hurt. And then she kind of like, when she died, she went into Rhysand's head and she saw everything that he saw. Oh no, but oh my gosh, what are we talking about? Wait, I'm so confused right now. When did Farah solve the riddle? Right before she died, right? Yes, right before she died. And then she snapped her neck, and then all hell broke loose when Tamlin attacked her, and he literally tore her head off. He tore her freaking head off. That was so good. I loved that.
Yeah.
I was so happy he did that. And she saw all that from Rhysand's head, because I think she got in there because of the connection she had with the tattoo and the, bargain.
Yeah. That was so good, because I was like just like truly rooting for someone to rip Amarantha's head off.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so pissed off. she was truly just like going, just admit that you don't really love him. Just admit that you don't love Feyre. Like she couldn't like stand that Feyre like actually fell in love.
Yeah.
Because like her whole point was that like humans just like hate fairies and that would like prove that. And then she just like had such a temper tantrum.
Oh my god, yeah.
And I was just so pissed off. I just could not stand it.
It was
And
kind of
just like, I was
childish.
so happy.
Kind of childish.
Oh
women.
yeah. Mhm.
And one-dimensional in my point. Like I know her sister died and everything, but that wasn't enough for me to be like, oh, she's morally great. I don't know. I mean, she wasn't morally great at all. But
No, she was just evil.
yeah, she was just evil, bitch. Anyways, when Tamlin ripped her head off, I was so happy. And then of course, Feyre couldn't die. I mean, hello. So they basically what happened was that the High Lords, they kind of gave her a part of their power, all of them, and in that way they kind of saved her, but she came back as High Fae as well. She wasn't just human anymore, but she was High Fae like the rest of them were. Yeah, after that she went to her room, and after that, I mean with Tamlin and everything was nice and fine again, right and fine again in the world. But after that, when she went to sleep, Rysand kind of called her to the balcony with his little bargain thingy, and they had an interesting conversation, like very mature and calm and no snapping at each other, so that was nice. And she kind of finally realized that maybe he isn't her enemy, and she realized that he really did want to just get rid of Amarantha and of this place. I mean, he told her that before. And I think I forgot to mention another tender part that I really liked between them. And it was when he came one night to her cell and she asked him why was he there, and he told her that he just wanted some place to go, to be alone and to be calm and to think, I guess. And it was so nice that, he decided to go there and talk to her about it. And it was nice. So anyways, what shocked me here and what confused me in this part where they were talking on the balcony was when he just kind of froze mid-sentence. And he looked super shocked and he kind of just vanished. He just disappeared. And Feyre was just left standing there being super confused. So that confused me too. I was like, what does that mean? What did he realize in that moment? Of course, we don't find out in this book. We'll have to wait for the second one. But yeah, that was interesting. What did you think, Anya, when that happened? Did you have a theory or?
I think I just wanted to find out what's going on. I was just like, I could tell that whatever it is, it's going to be important later, but I don't think I had like a solid theory. I mean, we found out that he could read minds, so I don't know, maybe he like suddenly found out something and just had to like leave. I don't know, I knew that it's definitely going to come up, so I was just like, okay, I need to keep reading.
Well, yeah, oh my gosh, I think we came to the end, right? I mean, did anything happen after that?
Tamlin and Feyre then traveled to the Spring Court, to their home, and lived happily ever after. And nothing bad happened.
Of course, sure. The story ends here, people. Yeah, we wish, huh?
But it really does. Like, it ends with them coming back to Spring Court and sort of just being content, being happy.
I guess.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. And of course, the next episode is gonna be about ACOMAF, A Court of Mist and Fury, and then we're gonna continue on with the series. The little novella we're probably gonna do together with A Court of Silver Flames, just because it's super short and, why not? We're just gonna kind of take some points, main points from the novella into The Court of Silver Flames. And yeah, hopefully you guys like this episode. We're obviously not Americans, we're Europeans. And yeah, you can follow us on Instagram and on TikTok. We're More Than Fiction Podcast, and we would really appreciate the support since we're just starting. And it would be also really nice if you guys subscribed wherever you're listening right now. Right, Anya?
Yeah. Yeah, we will surely figure out how to get this recording onto all the platforms, so stay tuned for that.
And the trailer, we're posting the trailer first, so when you listen to this, the trailer should be already up and running. And yeah, maybe we'll, if you guys are interested, we'll also do an episode where we just kind of introduce ourselves a little bit more, who we are, where we're from, what we do, and just how we know each other, I guess, or something. I don't know. Let us know. And yeah, that's it for today, right?
Yeah, I think we did good.
It was a good first episode, I
Yeah.
think. I'm happy. I'm
Yeah.
happy with it.
Yeah.
So
Good podcast. We did it.
we did it. Well, okay. Again,
Yay.
thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.